Hi friends, new and regular listeners. This is Red Ice Radio. My name is Henrik Palmgren and we are coming to you from Göteborg in Sweden. It's good to have you all with us today, and I hope you are comfortable wherever you are and ready for another interesting radio program. The website is redicecreations.com. Go there to see, hear and read much more. Check through our free radio archive and check out our members area as well if you want to expand your horizon even more. And today we have Nick Rosen with us on the line from the UK. He's the author of How to Live Off-Grid. He's a freelance journalist. He's written for The Times and other publication, and he is behind the website off-grid.net. That's the place to go to find articles, more information about his book, and other resources on how to get off the grid. A while back I read an article by Nick titled Living Off the Grid, How to Escape the Spies All Around Us. And he joins us today on the program to talk about this, his research and the website. So with that, welcome to Red Ice Radio, Nick, and thank you for taking your time in your busy schedule to talk with us today.
Nice, thank you very much for inviting me.
We only have about 1 hour today here, so I suggest we dive right into it. But before we talk about how to get off the grid, Nick, maybe we could just spend a little bit of time on defining what you mean by the grid and primarily why you wanted to find a way out of it.
Sure. Well, for me, the grid is both a factual matter and also a metaphorical matter. So there's the basic grid that defines our world of electricity lines and motorways and water lines and sewage and possibly phone as well. And then there's a more metaphorical grid, which is to do with supermarket distribution patterns and garages that sell gas and banks and just mainstream society in general. And that's a much more metaphorical kind of a grid. And I'm not suggesting that many of us can escape all the grids all the time. I think all we can hope to do is minimize our life on the grid, and in some cases, reduce it very heavily. But for most of us, especially living in the city, it would be pretty difficult to eliminate the grid altogether.
And why did you kind of want to get off the grid to begin with? If I ask you, what was the tipping point for you? We have so many things going on, not only what you mentioned here, but we have snooping. You guys over there in the UK, you have the most CCTV cameras, for instance, of all the countries in the world, it seems like right now. The Big Brother system is widely expanded over there. Was this an issue for you? Was that something you were concerned about and wanted to get out of that as well?
Yeah, we do have millions of CCTV cameras all recording our every move, and the information that they record is completely unregulated. But no, that wasn't the only reason for me, and I think for most people, for everybody, there's a whole bunch of different reasons that all play into each other, and for one person, one reason is more important, for other people, a different reason. And it's everything from the intrusive power of the state to the way that the state has now become the banker's support mechanism. And I think so many people are now completely disgusted with modern society because it's supporting the bankers but letting ordinary people have their houses taken away. So I think for a lot of people, it's to do with money. It's to do with the grid system. It's just very expensive, and you spend a long time in your working day. A large percentage of your working day is spent paying the mortgage, paying the electricity bill, paying the water bill, paying the supermarket bill. And we all know at the back of our minds, or possibly at the front of our minds, that if we eliminated all those bills, we'd only have to work a very small number of hours per day. And the life we're living isn't making us happy and isn't giving us privacy, and we're kind of questioning why we're doing it. But most of us feel like we're trapped in it, or we can't make the decisions we need to make to get out of it. So what we try and do is remove ourselves at least as much as possible. And perhaps for a lot of people, that's an ongoing process of gradually removing ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. And would you say that it's becoming more and more easy to do that because we do have access to new technologies. Alternatives are beginning to pop up here and there, but at the same time, it seems to me that the hand of the system that you're describing is also getting tighter and tighter, so to speak. We not only have the surveillance cameras to worry about in that sense. If we look at the online world, we have Facebook, Twitter, and Google. All is kind of spying on us and collecting data on us, as it were.
Yeah. Well, when I was writing my book, How to Live Off-Grid, which is just about my trip around Britain, I went around Britain in an RV, a camper van, which had a solar panel and a few batteries. Well, of course, just traveling in a vehicle with a registration plate, I was already part of the system. I'm insured, I've got a driving license, I have to buy gas, although I did buy a lot of my fuel came from supermarkets in the form of vegetable oil for my diesel truck, and I can pay cash for that, and I can earn that cash by working casually or growing things and selling them in markets. And in America, especially in Northern California, there's a lot of people growing products for cash up in Northern California. Mm-hmm. And so there are ways of sort of at least semi-removing yourself. In Britain, there's a big horse-drawn community, they call themselves, and they live in caravans which are drawn by horses, mainly in the southwest of England, and they don't have to have any vehicle registration, and they don't have any insurance, they don't have any identity cards of any sort, they're not claiming anything from the state. And they're living good lives in small communities, in fields they may have bought or inherited. If you own land that wasn't bought within the last 60 years, that land won't even be registered on the Central Land Registry. It could have been inherited or just land that you squatted on or common land. And so it is possible on the margins to live completely outside of the system. But as I said earlier, for most of us that's not possible. But if we want to use the technology to kind of get away from it and yet be there in the city even when you're in the country, it is possible to do that with a certain degree of anonymity and privacy. So, for example, you can buy pay-as-you-go phones, or prepay they're called in the States. And, of course, you could pay with a credit card for that, or you could pay cash, or you could have somebody else go in and buy it for you, and then their face will be on the CCTV camera. And if you're really conscientious and thorough about it, you could have a homeless person go in and buy it for you, and you could be waiting around the corner with the other half of the cash for them when they complete the assignment. So that's your phone. A similar thing can be done with your prepay mobile internet. It's a little stick that you plug into your laptop, and again, you can just buy that and you can charge it up when you need to using cash or possibly using somebody else's credit card if you've got someone. And you can constantly be kind of swapping and changing credit cards, and there are things like store loyalty cards which give you discounts and cash back, but you can swap those store loyalty cards with friends so that the store isn't tracking your particular habits anymore. You've got the card, and once you've kind of used up all the credit on it, you swap it with a friend who's also got a card. So there are ways to just outsmart the big computer systems which are watching us all the time, and retain our privacy, and through that, in a way, our dignity and our sense of pride in ourselves.
Absolutely. And what do you think is the most worrying in terms of, if we look at it from the surveillance point of view? Is it where the data is going, or do you think that there is, how should I put it, kind of active spying going on? To me, it seems like they're more interested in collecting data for the demographic use, so to speak.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's a major industry now which is selling that data, both data in terms of they collect it all on us and then they